Hey everyone, Equinoct here, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. Now, things started to get a little bit cryptic there at the end of the last episode, so we'll see how long these happy fun times we have with our friends is going to last. Surely a long time. They seem like a good bunch.
ランディ君人形ああ、そりゃ
レナが
Whoops.
サトコやリカちゃんをお持ち帰りしたくなるのはわかる。だがランディ君人形だけは理解できないぞ。あんなメガネ親父のどこがいいんだ。
そりゃレナに直接聞けばいいじゃん。
I'm trying to turn down the volume a little bit.
どうせだって可愛いんだもんしか言わないだろうけどさ。
Okay, that should be good.
レナはよくあそこ工事現場のとこへ宝探しに行くのか。
ちょくちょく見に行くって言ってましたです。
しかし年頃の女の子がゴミあさりね。
レナが楽しいならいいんだと思いますです。
あそこはなんだよ。ダムの工事現場だったのか。
It had been bugging me since yesterday, like an itch I couldn't scratch.
何年か前に中止になっちゃったけどね。
みんなで力を合わせて戦いましたです。
Hearing an ominous word like fought come from Rika-chan's mouth startled me.
そうそう。何しろとんでもない話だったんだよ。ひなみ沢が丸ごとダム湖に沈むことに一方的になってさ。
So I'm only able to be here because the protest succeeded.
ごめんねごめんね。待たせちゃったかな。申し訳ありませんわねケイチさん。お化粧直しに時間をかけちゃいまして。
サトコ、便所には溜めてから行け。一気に出せて楽で早いぞ。
What?
花も恥じらう乙女になんて口の利き方。
Who was she calling a maiden? If Sadako really was a maiden, she wouldn't have reacted like that. The usual hijinks ensued. Didn't I say it?
さてと、今日は快速に乗っ取り部員の諸君に是非を問いたい。彼前原圭一君を新たな部員として我らの部活動に加えたいのだがいかがだろうか。
レナは意義なし。近隣風情が私の相手を務められるかしら。僕もサトコも賛成しますですよ。
The three that Mion had acquired. Oh. The three that Mion had queried voiced their approval.
全会一致おめでとう前原圭一君。君に栄えある我が部への入部試験を許可する。
順を追って説明しろ。俺はまだ入るとは言ってないぞ。何の部活だ。
我が部はだな、複雑化する社会に対応するため活動ごとに提案されるさまざまな条件下、時には準教あるいは逆境からいかにして。
レナは弱いからいじめないでほしいな。仲良くやろうね。レナさんは甘えてますわ。弱い者は食い尽くされるのが世の常なのでございますわよ。
This was starting to sound a bit sketchy. So what kind of club was it?
つまりみんなでゲームして遊ぶ部活なのです。
Rika-chan was the only one to answer my question with the Pertinent. Again, words. Pertinent. I have never come across that word in written form. I'm just severely undereducated when it comes to words. I need to get out more, basically. So basically, this club put Mion's hobbies of collecting games to use. By playing the various games that Mion had hoarded every day. It seemed that, depending on the day, there were prizes for the winner or a penalty for the person who finished in last place.
先に断っとくけど、ままごと遊びみたいなレベルじゃないからね。一生いっぱいに命がかかってるくらい本気でかかった方がいいよ。
楽しくやれればいいじゃないか。そう凄むなよ。
快速第一条、狙うのは1位のみ。遊びだからなんていういい加減なプレーは許さない。
快速第2条、そのためにはあらゆる努力をすることが義務付けられておりますのよ。
The way Sadako said it, it sounded like she was saying, use any means necessary.
もちろん僕も頑張りますです。レナも弱いけどね、精一杯頑張ってるの。
I knew what they were trying to say. In a game where everyone is, or everybody is aiming for the top, it's rather unsportsmanlike to play just for fun.
よし、俺も本気でやってやるぜ。
With that, I was finally ready for the rite of initiation, my baptism into the club.
ケイちゃんに一応忠告ね。レナも結構えげつないからね。
This initiation looks like it's going to be rough. Mion began fishing around in the student lockers in the back of the room. They have the games here at the school? Well, it's club equipment, so I guess that's fine.
難しいゲームはケイちゃんだけに不利だからね。今日は誰にでもわかるゲームにしよう。スタンダードにトランプの指示抜きはどう？
よし、受けてやるぜ。
やっぱり罰ゲームがないと燃えないよね。今回はビリに顔面落書きの刑。どう？
油性じゃないよね。油性じゃないよね。
Permanent? She wants to draw on her face mist with a permanent marker?
上等でございますわ。
Sadako cheered the idea on. She didn't even flinch at the thought of such a severe penalty. It seemed like she was raring to go. If it's going to be like this, then I can't lose either.
じゃあカード切ってみんなに配るね。
Old Bachelor is pretty much the same as Old Maid. There's only one difference. There's no Joker. In its place, one card is pulled out at the start, meaning there will be one card without a match left over at the end. You don't know which card will end up being the Joker. It's a pretty thrilling game.
じゃあ1枚抜くね。
Mion took out one card and left it face down on the table. Everybody stared at the card intently.
ま、終盤になればおのずとわかるし。最初はどうしようもないよな。
But the rest of them were very serious. They didn't seem as relaxed as I was. They compared their cards to the one face down, all while gauging each other's reactions. It was as if they could see what the face down card was. No, it couldn't be.
このトランプ、結構傷物だろ。まさか みんなにはその傷でそこに伏せたカードが分かってる？
快速第2条ですわ。圭一さんも勝つために最善の努力をなさいませ。いくつかのカードは特徴的だから圭一くんにもすぐ覚えられるよ。
She said that so matter-of-factly.
上等だぜ。この程度でハンデになると思うなよ。
I lashed out angrily, but it was rather obvious I was at a disadvantage. After all, they'd gone so far to memorize the wear and tear of each individual card. It wasn't a simple game of Old Bachelor. If this was a test, then they were playing with the answer sheet right in front of them. Bring it. I'll take advantage of your carelessness and beat you at your own game. It's one thing to sound out a word that you don't know and it just comes out slowly, but when I get so caught in that I say the whole sentence slowly, like, then I'm at... I hate that more than anything, so I'd rather just start over and finish the sentence quickly and angrily. But that's just me. The baseless confidence would soon be crushed.
ケイちゃんの手札を右から言うぜ。3、4、9、ジャック、クイーン。
ちなみにジジはダイヤの J なのです。どうカードを入れ替えたって見え見えですわ。上がりですな。
I thought I was prepared, but for it to be this brutal, just overwhelming.
鬼だ。こいつらは鬼だ。レナは鬼じゃないよな。
ごめんねケイチくん。こっちがハートの3だよね。
I'm gonna start screaming like that every time I lose a friendly game. Not even a hint of mercy, Rena, even Rika-chan. These club activities weren't to be trifled with. Oh my god. And all of the club would definitely survive in the cruelest of situations. If our entire class had self-detonating collars strapped to their necks and were dropped into a deathmatch on a deserted island, these guys would probably take to it like fish to water. I can already picture their joy as they hunt down each of their classmates.
ポイントは減点制ね。着順がそのままマイナス点。トータルで一番少ない人が優勝。
ではケイチはビリなので5です。
There's already a 5 marked down on my scoreboard.
やっぱりさ、綺麗なトランプでやらないとケイチくんに不公平だよ。
いいのいいの。ケイちゃんだって男だし。これくらいの逆境は跳ね返せるよね。
貧民風情は逃げ帰って涙で枕を濡らすのがお似合いでございますことよ。
Damn, Sadako. A petite hand laid itself on top of my head, which was trembling from uncontainable frustration. It was Rika-chan's.
ファイト、おーです。
Thanks to Rika-chan's words of encouragement, I was able to calm down. You need to be calm, especially when you're cornered. That's the power I could muster up during this crisis. Think clearly, Keiichi Mayabara. Take your time and look at the cards carefully. It's just as Rena said, several of the cards have their own distinct markings, making them stand out. Memorizing them should be pretty simple. Think about what you can do in this situation. Try everything in your power to improve your chances of victory.
うわ、うまいよケイチくん、その調子。
I covered the uniquely marked cards with my hands or other cards, arranging them in such a way that they couldn't be seen.
角が割れているのは5だったはずです。上がりましたです。
I couldn't let any of those precious hints slip by me. All information is a weapon. Then it was my turn. Sadako fanned out her cards for me.
欲しいのは7なんだが、これかな。
さてどうかしら。聞いてみないとわかりませんことよ。
There was a bit of dismay in her expression. Like she doesn't want it taken, that kind of expression. I won't let that momentary lapse slip by me.
見えた。これだ。
Got it. 7 of spades. A cheer of ooh rang out.
なんですって7は一番わかりにくいはずですのに。
It wasn't from memorizing the markings. Those slight changes in their expression as I was selecting a card were enough.
ほらケイちゃん隠さない。この傷が確かダイヤの2だったよね。あれ
She was startled by her own misread. Of course, everyone else was too.
あ、みーちゃんがカード間違えるなんて珍しいね。
違う。ケイちゃん、あんたまさか。
They told them apart by the different marks. That mark was a nail scratch, so I put a new one on it.
ダイヤの2を偽装したというですの。あ、味な真似をするでございますわ。ケイチ、一矢報いましたです。
Clap, clap, clap.
やったねケイチくん。大前線だよ。
Having defeated the Forerunner, Mion, my brilliant battle left me ecstatic. But by total points, I was already set in stone that Mion would win and I would finish last. I laughed haughtily, selecting the tone of my voice carefully to get on Mion's nerves.
まあビリは確定だけどさ。最後にミオンから1本取れたから大満足かな。
That should be the proverbial slap in the face to Mion, who was at the top already and ensured victory.
この回、仮にケイちゃんが1着になってもトータルビリが確定するんだけど。いや、
当たり前だ。
一騎打ちしようよ。ワンチャンス。勝てたらケイちゃん1位で私ビリの大逆転。なんてどう？乗るでしょ？
She fell for it. A chance for an upset that wouldn't be possible without goading her into it.
ワンチャンスだと。ルールを説明しろ。
Mion discarded 2 cards from her hand and replaced one with the Joker card that was on the table, then shuffled the resulting hand behind her back.
右手のカードと左手のカード。どっちがジョーカーか当てたらケイちゃんの勝ち。
今後ろに回した時ジョーカーを抜いたってことはないだろうな。
ケイちゃんが負けたら反対の手のカードも公開するよ。それなら OK でしょ。
The other three gulped nervously at the unexpected turn of events.
よし乗ってやる。
Mion grasped one card in each hand and thrust them out at me. First, I needed to inspect them closely. The card on the right had no distinguishing marks. I couldn't tell which one it was.
どっちだろう。ケイチ君、慎重にね。
ああ、もちろんだぜ。逆転の大チャンスだ。
Looking closely at the card on the left, I saw a little wear. It wasn't one I hadn't seen before.
あのカードは。
I didn't let that bit from Sadako slip by me. Mion clucked her tongue. I didn't recognize the mark on the left card from the small number that I had memorized. I didn't know what the left card was, but I could tell from Sadako's reaction that the card had already appeared during the game. Since it had already appeared before, it meant that it definitely wasn't the Joker.
ケイちゃんは右のカードを疑ってる。じゃあ右にする？右？
The left card definitely wasn't the Joker. I could trust that theory. If I could trust that theory, then I should have been able to declare that the card on the right was the Joker. Even without Mion's taunting, the one on the right was the most suspicious. But wasn't it too rash to decide based solely on Sadako's reaction? More carefully, I remember now. That mark, the left card, no doubt about it. The 7 of clubs.
きっとクローバーの7だね。
I've won! The card on the left was the 7 of clubs. So that meant the card on the right was the Joker. And then, just before my hand touched the right card, I froze.
さすがミオンだよ。
There was a wave of murmurs amongst the onlookers at my sudden halt, right before I confirmed the right card was the Joker.
ケイチさんは何を言ってるのでございましょう。だって左。C です。
へえ。ケイちゃんはどうして右がジョーカーじゃないって確信できるの？
Mion let loose an unexpected question. Everyone else was baffled.
右のカードが何かは俺にもわからないさ。だが左のカードがクローバーの7だってことだけはわかる。
じゃあ残る右のカードがジョーカーなのじゃありませんこと？必ず左右どっちかがジョーカーという約束でしょ？
ああ、左右のどっちかにジョーカーがあるのは本当だろうな。
ケイチは勘がいいです。リカちゃん、それってどういう？
つまりさ、クローバーの7はさっき俺がサトコのスペードの7と合わせて捨てたカードなんだよ。
Everyone's attention snapped to the discard pile at the same time. The truth of the matter couldn't be discerned from the sloppy pile.
つまりミオンは捨て札を1枚拾って左のカードに重ねている。つまり
そうか、わかった。左のカードをクローバーの7に見せかけているんだね。
It was the first time since the start of the match that a shadow ran across Mion's expression, and I didn't let that slip by. Then, with a grand flourish, I declared it loudly.
ジョーカーは左手だ。
It was an intense moment. That 1 second felt like an eternity for everyone there. Breaking that silence, the first one to speak was Mion.
初代部長として私もさまざまなプレイングを見てきたけど、ケイちゃん、あんたはベストオブザベストオブザベスト。
That was probably the greatest compliment Mion could give. Mion accepted her defeat, dropping the cards from both hands. My comeback victory. Rika-chan placed her hand on my head and began petting it, congratulating me on my victory.
リカちゃんか？
Rena and Sadako gaped at us as if they had seen a ghost.
なんだよレナ。別に俺はインチキしてないだろ。正々堂々と。
リカは慰めるときにしか頭を撫でませんの。
Huh? What's the meaning of? At that moment, Rena let out a small shriek.
ケイチ君、こんなことって。
Okay, what happened?
ケイちゃんならさ、ここまで読んでくれると思ってたよ。
Uh-oh. Everyone froze. No, it was just me.
賭けだった。ケイちゃんがおてんばさんの早とちりだったなら、負けてたのは私だった。
It was the answer everyone was certain about. Mion picked up the card from the losing hand.
ケイちゃんはさ、この負けを誇っていいよ。
She turned it around. That was the card that proclaimed the victor of the duel. The card under the 7 of clubs. Unbelievable, it was the 2 of diamonds. It was a setup behind the setup. If I had just picked the right one without reading so deeply into it,
部長、園崎美音の名において、前原圭一、あんたの我が部への入部を許可する。
as I slumped to my knees, dazed, everyone let out a round of applause for the excellent effort I gave despite my defeat.
これにて決着。本日の優勝は私、園崎美音。栄えあるビリは前原圭一。
Everyone made a commotion, applauding cheerfully. I felt I was bested, but I was so soundly beaten that it unexpectedly felt rather refreshing.
みーちゃんが後ろ手で細工したとき、またやるんだって思ってドキドキしちゃった。ケイチさんが正解に触れる直前で止まったときにはかかったって思いましたわ。見事に引っかかってくれましたです。
Huh? Hey, wait. All of them knew from the start and still got so excited so earnestly?
楽しくなるようにみんなで盛り上げましたですよ。
You.
お前らみんな鬼だ。人手だし。
さて、ケイちゃんに罰ゲームだね。今日は部活の初日だしね。ソフトに行こうかね。いきなり登校拒否になられちゃ困るし。
The other 3 members held down my arms and shoulders firmly. Mion approached, licking her lips. Oh. Her right hand went to pull something out of her pocket. That's a felt tip marker. And it's a giant permanent one.
さて、行くよ。
She took the cap off the marker and brought it slowly to my face while I was immobilized.
ややめろ
I let out my death throes. Man, how much alcohol would it take to scrub off permanent marker off of your face? That just sounds like torture. Does alcohol remove permanent marker? I knew it was something to help it, but I didn't know if it was alcohol or not. As soon as the club activities were finished, Rena flew off. Probably so she could dig out that cute Colonel Randy that she wasn't able to take home yesterday. So today it was just Mion and me walking home together, a rather rare occurrence.
宝の山か。捨ててる連中もまさかレナに感謝されてるとは夢にも思わないだろうね。
Mountain of treasure, meaning the damn construction site from before. Oh right, Mion would probably tell me. That murder by dismemberment that seemed to have happened there.
あそこさ、ダムの工事現場。なんかあったんだろ昔。
そりゃあったよ、戦いが。座り込みやったりデモをやったり。
It was a bit different from what I wanted to hear, but I decided to listen just the same.
自分たちの土地がダム湖に沈むんだもんな。俺だって戦うだろうな。
役人どもは本当に一方的だった。偉そうで威張ってた。金で解決できないと悟ると、あらゆる嫌がらせをしてきたんだよ。いやらしい奴らだった。
Mion spoke excitedly, as if the whole thing was happening right in front of her.
よく勝てたな。相手は国だろ。
村長や村の有力者たちがね、方々に陳情した。東京にも行ったし、いろんな政治家に根回しもした。そうしてるうちに計画は撤回されたんだよ。私たちの完全勝利だった。
暴力沙汰とかにはならなかったのか？傷害事件とか殺人。
なかった。
She promptly cut me off, the same as Rena had. Her words signaled the end of the discussion. Tomitake-san said one arm wasn't found in the incident. I thought that a murder by dismemberment had occurred, but I guess I was wrong. My curiosity unsated, I sighed dejectedly inside.
じゃあね、また明日ね。ケイちゃんそれ、うちに帰るまで消しちゃダメだからね。
わかってるよ。消さねえよ。
Mion held back her laughter while stealing glances at my face. I wonder what kind of nasty doodles they drew. Damn you, Mion. You shall rue this day. If our roles are ever reversed, I'm going to go all out. All over your face. Giggity? So you won't be able to take it off. Even with the scouring? Oh, even with the scouring pad. Well, now I'm curious, what did they draw on his face? He doesn't have an art sprite in this game, so I have no idea. Upon arriving home, I ran into my mom, embarrassing myself yet again. The mood I come home to was already on edge. It's not an uncommon thing in our family. Whenever Dad can't come up with a good idea, it always ends up like this. He stomps around the house with his arms crossed. My mom whispered into my ear.
おかえりケイチ。
お父さん大変そうだからそっとしてあげてね。
またアイデアに詰まったわけ？
今回は締め切りが重なったからね。お父さん充電期間がないと大変だから。
Dad's paintings feed our entire family. If he runs out of ideas, then it's the end of the Maya bars. We've never gone hungry before. Could it be that my dad is a master painter?
家の中をうろうろしないで表に散歩でも行った方がアイデアが出るんじゃね
今回は生活空間がテーマだから、お父さんこの家をモチーフにしたいみたい。
That's quite a bothersome motif.
イチ、家の中を少しは片付けなさい。みっともないぞ。
ごめん後で片付けるよ。
Ah, come on. Please don't use my room as the motif.
ケイチ、お夕飯までまだ時間があるから表でも散歩してらっしゃい。
Dad's moods are only temporary. As soon as he gets an idea, his mood improves and he starts humming. Until then, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just go take a walk so I don't aggravate him further.
じゃあそうするかな。
I said I was going to take a walk, but I didn't have any particular destination in mind. I just needed to kill some time. I got on my bike and pondered where to go. I couldn't just go read at the bookstore. Oh, I could just go read at the bookstore, but it would take about an hour by bike to get to town. It would be dark by the time I got back, so I didn't want to go unless I had to. The roads at night here in Hinamizawa creep me out. If Mion or Sadako ever found out about that, I smiled wryly. Oh yeah. Rena was probably still at the Mountain of Treasure, the dam construction site. The excavation of Colonel Randy was probably taking her a while. It wouldn't be so bad to have our Omi one.
次の部活の時に恩返ししてもらえるかもしれないしな。
With a little bit of self-interest in mind, I set off towards the dam construction site. Tomitake-san might be there as well. The only person with information about the incident that both Rena and Mion denied knowing anything about. If I met him again, I'd like to ask him for more details. To ask, was there really a dismemberment here in Hinamizawa? That was my real intention. He's determined to get to the bottom of this question he has on if there really was a murder or not. Man, even the trash looks pretty in this artwork. It's like very well drawn. I spotted Rena struggling up on the slope of the garbage pile. It looked like Colonel Randy was lodged in there pretty firmly. It didn't look like Rena would be able to excavate him by herself. Realizing that Tomitake-san wasn't around, I began climbing down the slope unsteadily.
よーレナ、精が出ますな。
ケイチくん、どうしたのこんなところへ。
A place like this, huh? I see. She was aware of it, at least.
事故発生の緊急通報を受け参上しました。負傷者はどこでありますか？
事故って、
ランディ君人形がゴミ山に生き埋めになっているとの通報でしたが。
なんだ、びっくりした。ケイチくん脅かさないでよ。
冗談だよ。レナが一人で困ってるだろうなって思ってさ、手伝いに。
レナのために。
Well, I filled my quota for today. If I don't see Rena blush at least once a day, then I'm not getting my daily required nutritional intake. Huh. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know if it's just like teasing or if it's like a perverted thing, like he just loves seeing her blush in a deviant sort of way. But I choose to go with the former.
こっちまで恥ずかしくなるだろう。
冗談ってどこからだろう、どこからだろう。
I just ignored her bewilderment.
ほれ、どいたどいた。で、どこだよ、ランディ君は。
あ、ごめん。ほら、この隙間から見える。
こりゃ、
あ、
本当に生き埋めだな。
The Colonel Randy was sideways, surrounded by boards and other constructional materials, like they were caging him inside. According to Rena, it wasn't like this yesterday. It seems as though another illegal dumper came yesterday, dumped again, and now he's buried like this.
この山を一人でどけるつもりだったのか？その細い腕で。
There's no way she would be able to do that with her slender arms.
でもランディ君人形かいいだもん。お店のランディ君には鎖がついてるけど、これならお持ち帰りできる。
If Rena gave up on this Colonel Randy, she'll probably start devising a plan to steal the one in front of the store. As Rena's guardian, I won't let her sully her hands with crime.
どいてろよ、俺がやる。
Rena blushed again, but this time I left it alone. The pile was enormous. Also, the more days we wasted, the more likely another illegal dumping would occur. If it got buried any deeper, there would be nothing that could be done.
ケイチ君、レナも手伝えるよ。手伝わせて。
帰って邪魔になるから下がってろって。よいしょー。
Pulling out scraps, bending them, tossing them aside. I quickly became covered in sweat and dust. Flying objects drew beautiful arcs across the twilight sky, one after another. Lumber, timber, plywood. Damn it! No matter how much I threw out, there was still more. Even though I could see Colonel Randy right there. After grandstanding like this in front of Rena, I felt frantic because of how little I had progressed.
本気でやるなら、大野とかノコギリとかがいるかもしれねえな。
もういいよ、ケイチ君。すごい汗だよ。そんな無理しなくてもいいよ。
レナのためにやってるだけだ。気にするな。
Rena began sputtering and turning beet red. Ah, whoops. I meant to say I was trying my best so as to keep her from becoming a criminal. Oh well.
さすがに休憩。こいつは手強いぜ。
I sprawled on my back over the grassy slope.
ごめんね、ごめんね。すごい汗だく。
Rena patted her handkerchief against my forehead. It felt pretty nice.
あのさ、ちょっとここで休んでてね。私、家近いから。麦茶とか持ってきてあげるね。
Leaving the handkerchief on my forehead, Rena took off running. The cries of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. After I was certain that Rena was gone, I picked myself up and headed towards what I had discovered earlier. That was a garbage pile of magazines and newspapers bound in twine. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe it was around here. There it was. There were bound stacks of not so reputable tabloids. They were stacked chronologically, going back quite a few years. Ooh, music. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it was just as Tomitake-san said, then undoubtedly there would be a mention of a murder. These are troubled times. There's no end to these sickening incidents. There's a large part of society drawn in by these incidents as well. So it had to be recorded. Somewhere. I unfastened the packages and opened the rain-soaked pages carefully, looking over the table of contents. Not here. Next one. Not here. Next one. It was hard to search since I didn't know when it had happened. I didn't know who the perpetrator or the victim was either. I only knew it happened here. I looked every so often, checking to see if Rena had come back or not. I wouldn't want her to see me gawking at a dirty magazine, but it wasn't just that. Both Rena and Mion said they didn't know, but it happened without a doubt. As long as Tomitake-san wasn't lying. Then if both Rena and Mion... Ah, yes. There was. If they had just said that, then I wouldn't have gotten so hung up on it. The incident that neither Rena nor Mion wished to talk about, trying to uncover it after they tried to conceal it out of good intentions. That made me feel like I was acting against my friends. Oh. Hinamizawa dam worker lynching, murder by dismemberment. Here it is. The featured article was in the back, and it seemed that there was a photograph in the colored pages at the front. The pages of the featured article were stuck together and weren't easy to open. Rena could return at any moment. Feeling rushed, I gave up and opened the photograph page. The police investigators were carrying a body bag, and newspaper reporters were all bathing it in camera flashes. The image was blurry and hard to understand, but I could definitely make out the headlines. A tragic nightmare at the Hinamizawa construction site. Lynching and murder dismemberment. The victim was the site foreman. He had assaulted his assailants daily with an explosion of backlash from the daily actions. It's a horrible image to see the site foreman as. It happened. It really did happen. It seemed the details were on the next page. I turned the page without pausing. On it was, the assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and pickaxes, then used an axe to split the cadaver into 6 pieces, head, arms, legs, and torso. I could understand just from the headline that it was just too terrible an incident. Normally a lynching is just assault and murder, right? Just? Dismemberment with hatchets and pickaxes. That wasn't a lynching. It was a merciless killing to the letter, a brutal murder. Done by a group of people. With hatchets. With pickaxes. With a hatchet. Ugh.
ごめんなさい。驚いたかな、驚いたかな。
Rena dropped the hatchet she was holding onto the grass after being startled by my voice.
圭一くんね、さっきほら
Rena fluttered her arms in a panic, continuing to explain and apologize. It seemed I'd been glaring at her pretty intensely.
ごめん。ちょっとオーバーに驚きすぎたかな。
こっちこそごめんね。ごめんね。
Night was drawing close. I was pretty worn out, and it wouldn't hurt to do the rest tomorrow.
最後の針はそのナタじゃないと壊せそうにない。せっかく持ってきてくれたんだし、明日借りるよ。な。何しょんぼりしてるんだよ。明日にはランディ君が掘り出せるんだぜ。
そうだよね。早くランディ君をお持ち帰りしたい。
We both knew that it was useless to apologize any more than that. I quenched my thirst with the barley tea Rena brought and wiped off the sweat that had now gone cold. We took the path to head home. I felt quite guilty about the tabloid wrapped up in my jacket. Okay. So, confirm there was a murder. Hinamizawa Dam Project. October 1975. In accordance with the Prime Minister's bulletin number, Hinamizawa's electrical development master plan was announced. The vast scope of the projected Hinamizawa Dam was to have an incredibly heavy impact on the village of Hinamizawa. The areas to be flooded by the Hinamizawa Dam would include the 5 areas of Hinamizawa, Takasoto, Kyotsu, Matsumoto, and Yagochi. The submerged area would include 291 houses. Population 1,251. 1 elementary school, 1 middle school, 1 post office, 1 agriculture cooperative, 1 forestry department lumberyard, 5 shrines, 2 temples, and 1 fishery. All of these communal, cultural, agricultural areas and places of worship were to be indefinitely submerged at the bottom of the artificial lake basin. Forsaking the 100 years our ancestors poured their blood and sweat into this fertile, resource-rich land was too painful to bear. All the residents having homes that were to be submerged banded together and created the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. The dam project was halted and petitions to alter the plan were circulated. The citizens sought peaceful negotiations, but the government and its puppet company openly refused. Performing unspeakable heinous acts, they quashed the democratic actions of the villagers. But the villagers did not falter. Instead, they banded together even more closely and steeled their resolve to protect their homes to the death. The continuation of that frightening Hinamizawa dam construction project is still stalled as of today. The villagers understand that the stalling was caused by sublime power through unity, and they understand that this fearsome plan had not yet been fully withdrawn. The Onikakushi Defense Alliance had been dissolved after it did its part, but the feelings of unity it gathered have not yet been extinguished. As long as that passion resides in the hearts of the residents, they'll be able to confront whomever next decides to sink their homes into a lake basin. Onikakushi Defense Alliance Committee Chairman Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Yeah, I can't say I blame them. Like, that's a lot of livelihoods that would just be buried in water. Like, what would you do aside from protest at that situation? Nightmare befalls the Hinamizawa Dam. Lynching and murder dismemberment. On X day of X month in XX Prefecture at the Hinamizawa Dam construction work site of Shishibone City, a bone-chilling gruesome murder dismemberment. Even though this case has shocked the archipelago, I think I'm saying that right, I don't know, the police will give no details on the case. Exactly what happened at that Hinamizawa Dam? They probably didn't mean to kill him at first, but as the victims resisted by swinging around a shovel, the rest of the perpetrators armed themselves in return, and it quickly escalated to homicide. So said the aforementioned investigator A. After this bloody tragedy was over, they were left with a body which nobody could have mistaken as alive. XX-san had tormented the suspects daily with his rough behavior. At first, it was meant to be payback. All the perpetrators were horrified by their deed, and one even turned himself into the police. It was the de facto leader of this group, XX, who suggested hiding the body. Reluctantly at first, they soon began to think they did not wish to be caught. The construction site had numerous places to hide the body, with 6 people. They were originally supposed to hide the body and leave the area, but the de facto leader feared that the consequences of the other 5 wouldn't be able to bear the burden, and came up with a horrifying method to keep them from turning him into the police. He devised the heinous method of splitting up the body among them and making each one of them responsible for hiding a piece. XX had turned a simple manslaughter into a gruesome dismemberment and forcibly involved each perpetrator in order to create a sense of unity between them. Each one participated. But what does this mean? Person A spoke out reluctantly. XX had ordered each and every one of them to dissect a piece for themselves. They were hesitant at first, but nobody refused. And for a penny, and for a pound, was what it meant. And for a penny and for a pound. Never heard that phrase before. Thus, an unimaginable bloody ceremony began. The perpetrators wept and vomited as they performed the gruesome task. There was one person who stubbornly refused, but XX threatened them, saying nothing would change if someone else ended up dead, and he gave up on his objections. But XX's plans collapsed in the span of one night. XXX, who had refused to dissect the corpse up until the last moment, had broken down into tears at the hospital where he was being treated for an injury sustained during the scuffle and confessed. The criminals were arrested one after the other, but the de facto leader, XX's whereabouts, are still unknown. Also, the right arm hidden by XX has yet to be found. Despite an ongoing search, this horrible individual has so far managed to elude law enforcement. What could the police be doing? It appears that XX said he was going to throw the body, right arm, into the swamp. XX's car was discovered abandoned near the swamp, but there were no clues to its whereabouts. X didn't trust companions. One cannot deny the possibility that he had expected his companions to confess to the police and used his car as a decoy. Of course, I doubt that theory. Since he has no car, no one would expect him to have a limited area to which he could have escaped to. But within the situation, there were rumors going around that he had accidentally slipped and drowned in the swamp when he went to throw away the body. To the locals, that swamp is believed to be bottomless. It's known as Onikakushi, the demon's abyss, and it's said that the bottom of the swamp is connected to a hellish world of demons. The atrocious demon from hell that was XX. Could it be that he had returned to hell through the swamp? What the fuck? The Zijin Dragon, bringer of luck and fortune. Prosperous future. Ladies leaping into your arms. No thanks. Business success. Promotions. Ambition. Protection from harm. Not just with pachinko and horse races, but business and even love. Guaranteed or your money back. Senjin Dragon Bracelet DX, one piece. 27,800 yen. I just love how that music just checked in all happy and cartoony right after talking about a dismembered corpse. Okay, interesting. So we couldn't see the names, they were all X'd out, but Keiichi saw that, right? Like, the names are actually written on that newspaper, and Keiichi saw the names. And apparently it wasn't Mion or Rena or anyone he knew. Plus, that was like, what, 5 years ago? They would have been pretty young at that time. But they are being very hush-hush about it for some reason. So I'm interested to see, like, what happens in this visual novel. Alright, that'll just about do it for this episode. It's getting pretty interesting now. I do love the fun parts, like with them playing the games and all, because it does seem like it can drag on a little bit, but I do like the new information and the new scenes that were excluded from the anime. So just seeing like the new things, no matter how small or how, easily cut out that they are, I just like seeing new things like that when it comes to things I already liked. Which is why I usually watch anime first and then read the manga later, because the manga usually has more things in it. As opposed to the other way around, where if you read the original source and get all that information, and then if you watch the show or anime or movie or TV adaptation, like whatever, they always cut out things. And there you're disappointed, because maybe some things were more impactful because of the extra content that it had. But, here I am nerding about literature and media. Thank you all for tuning in. If you liked the video, leave a like and all that stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Later.